Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. Tonight, the most important and truthful thing that I can tell you is thank you. Tonight is the 3rd anniversary of this show. Thank you for proving that there is space for a voice that refuses the protection of a side. Thank you for believing in the majority, not these magnified minorities that social media tech bros are making money off. Thank you for making my show grow every year organically in the toughest market in history. No one is growing more in my space, and most have lost a lot, okay? We are up, and others are not, okay? I don't want them to go down, but I'm just saying we're growing, and that's because of you, okay? You got to live life going forward, so thank you for helping me do that. Thank you for helping me have success that most did not think I would have. And by us, I mean the best showrunner and TV partner I have ever worked with, Dusty, who does the work of 10 people every day, and that is just managing my personality before she even works on the show. So to Dusty and the mighty few who make my name mean a lot more because it's the title of what they have made this show. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. We are all committed to exposing the game and reminding what the reality is. What's happening right now is the few are dominating the many. Why? Social media and the media echoing what's in social media. Here's how bad it is. I have had good conversations with several major players on the right and on the left, more importantly, and I'll tell you why. A lot of the lefties online don't seem to get it, but these lawmakers were thanking me for pointing out the opportunity that they have to show better ideas and the potential right now as a point of comparison for what this administration was supposed to make happen. So they are frustrated because they think this shutdown isn't going to give them that opportunity. Why? Well, it's why none of them are on tonight, right or left. Why? Because nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? They prefer the shutdown to doing any problem solving. Why? Are these bad people? No, I don't think so. It's about what works. They are raising more money off the shutdown than they were when they were doing the job. They are more concerned about the numbers and the clicks on social media. That's what they're talking to me about more than the numbers of the policies that they're fighting over. They are more about memes than, where the moments are going to be here. I've never seen anything like it before. They are making money off this, so that's fine. It's better than fixing the problem. That's where we are. And I believe they're missing a huge opportunity, and here's why. They're playing to the few and not the many. That's why their numbers keep going down. Let me remind you, you are not crazy. All of your basic assumptions about how everybody wants basically the same things are right, including what you probably want most. It's shared. It's the division. It does seem gratuitous and manufactured because it is. You're right. And I can show you in the numbers, all right? We all agree on what the problem is. 8 in 10 of us say we're more divided than we are united. But that's the only number they ever show you. They don't tell you that 7 in 10 of us, okay, believe that people should all basically want the same things, that we're of common mind, that we're not about right and left, we're more about right and wrong. There is common sense. Most of us do agree on the things that matter. 80% of Americans support extending Obamacare subsidies to avoid premiums for 22 million Americans doubling and millions of Americans losing their health insurance. That is the risk. And we overwhelmingly don't want to see that. I told you, the Democrats have the right fight. The question is, do they know the right way to fight? Red and blue states have high percentages of populations on Medicaid. The many here should matter more than the few. A fact, nearly all the states with the highest increase in Obamacare enrollment in recent years, Republican states. Okay, another big dividing line, illegal immigration, right? 6 out of 10 of us say it's a serious problem. It's not about being for or against open borders. The open borders people are radical. all right? That's like the shoot 'em all people on the right. The majority is, yeah, how do we keep it closed best? 80% support deporting migrants who commit crimes. 80%. It's not a controversy. They just play it like one on social media because it makes them money. 64% support hiring more Border Patrol agents. The majority doesn't want the fight about whether we're a country or not. If we don't have a real border, they want solutions, not just to security, but to prosperity. How do you enhance legal immigration? We need workers. We need new blood in this country. How do you reform the system? That's what the majority wants. 80% say immigration is a good thing. 60% want a pathway to citizenship for law-abiding migrants. 6 out of 10. The few want the fight. The many want the fix. And I think that should be the operative word for us. The only buzzword. Fix. Fix. Who's fixing? What is the fix? Talk fix. On crime, right? On social media, it's like, oh, some people want crime and some people don't. How crazy do you have to be? Some people love the military being on the streets. How crazy do you have to be? Pretty crazy, because that's not how most of us feel. 7 in 10 say crime's too high. Duh. 6 in 10 say a lot of it is because government's not tough enough on criminals. 8 in 10 say we need programs to keep kids off the streets. It's not just punish your way out of it. You need to give people avenues of opportunity. This is common sense. It's what's here and here. It's not whether to have the National Guard on the streets or not. That's not a real fix. Close to 90% of us are concerned about the cost of living in this country. Do not be distracted by that or from that, by anything else. And the majority of this country, this is not a battle about whether we're going to be capitalists or free everything. That's a fringe fight to make each side look as scary as possible. We just want better. 6 out of 10 say taxes are too high. 7.5 out of 10 say Congress needs to pass laws to deal with housing affordability. 7.5 out of 10 say raise the minimum wage. These are not close calls. They don't get acted on because they don't work as well as the problems for the politicians because of what this system rewards. We're dying, choking on money because of Citizens United, and now the administration wants to make it even easier for parties to work with their candidates directly and put more money into the system. It's killing us. It's killing us. The biggest target for division is political violence, right? That's what we're fighting about now. Which side is worse, right? You know what the majority knows? Like I said before, it is not about right or left. It's about what's right and wrong. And we're pimping outrage for profit. We're treating each other terribly. We've abandoned decency in favor of digs and gotchas on Twitter. And the majority hates it. 8.5 of us out of 10. Political rhetoric. That's the problem. 71% say tech companies should not be rewarded for amplifying the worst of us. The majority gets it. The few dominate the many because of social media. That is the battle. For example, our lead story tonight. And again, I end where I began. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't expect this, and I'm so appreciative of it. Okay? So let's get after it. You got to take progress where you find it, okay? Middle East peace is like one of the great, impossible dreams. Right now, Hamas saying yes, even though people are saying there's a but. I don't know what the but is, so I'm just going to play to the yes. If the but comes, it comes. We'll deal with that. But these people have to be returned home, whether they're alive or dead. There will never be peace without that. So if Hamas can do anything positive in this situation, they are terrorists, okay? You got to take it. Listen to this.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents.
Now, is it a little early for a victory lap? Yeah, I mean, it kind of spooks me like when, Bush was out there saying, mission accomplished. But this is a good step. And, now all of you guys, this is your opportunity to say, just the fringe people, not you, not the majority. You'll see. Just watch the comments. The president deserves to take a lap right now. I hope he doesn't jinx it. But this is an impressive step. Just one step, but it's an impressive step. Cuomo's MAGA. You're sane washing. I don't think peace in the Middle East is sane washing, especially when you're dealing with a terrorist organization. You talk about insane. I see their flags waving on the streets of New York City. That's insane, all right? But the point is, you got to see the good where it is. Now, how good? How long? What do we not know that can totally change our understanding for better or worse? Those are the right questions. I can't answer them, but I have people who can. John Spencer, Executive Director of the Urban Warfare Institute, and Moshe Lavi, the brother-in-law of 47-year-old hostage Omri Miran. And he was taken from one of the kibbutzim on October 7th. Remember, the people in those places were the most pro-better relations. The people who lived that close to the border, especially on the kibbutzim, they were the most pro-Palestinian people you would find in Israel. That's the irony of them being attacked. Both of you, thank you. Moshe, I start with you. How are you controlling head and heart about what this means or could mean for your family?
Thank you for having me, Chris. I try to be the rational actor in my family and be grounded as much as possible. We've been in this situation several times in the past 2 years where a deal was announced imminently, and yet nothing has happened eventually. I do see a lot of buts, and I saw some of the stipulations Hamas put forth. But as you said, it's a positive progress. And President Trump is clear that there is a path here for a resolution to the conflict and the release of all the hostages, including Omri, who will return alive, to my sister Lishai and my two nieces, Roni and Alma.
God willing. So, John, is there cause for optimism here that has not existed before?
Well, first, Chris, congratulations on the show. Of course, I'm a big fan and all your hard work. Absolutely, this is new. Hamas has never said that they would release. There are buts even in their statement, even in that paragraph. But I think there's absolutely optimism. I wouldn't say peace. I would say peace for these hostages that shouldn't have been taken and their families. Absolutely, that peace will come. But there are 19 other points in this peace plan that would lead to peace in just that region that have to be addressed. And there are some buts in the statement. But absolutely, Hamas has never been willing to say we will release all the hostages, and we still have to wait. And I think this is a little bit of psychological warfare to say, okay, are they seriously saying that they agree to that point in the plan, that they will release for 2,000 basically Palestinian life-death sentence people and those taken after October 7th? If that's amazing. And like you said, President Trump and everybody else should be very optimistic, hopeful, and even happy about that.
Here are the two hardest questions. First one is for you, John, and Moshe, then I'm going to ask a question that I think is going to be hard for you to answer as honestly as you may want to, but it's a very important question. John, one is strategy. One is a social question. So the strategy question is, these are terrorists who do not want to go anywhere if that means giving up power. So they're not going to just say yes because it's the right thing. What is the leverage involved? What is the give that would make these people give up the only thing that matters to them, which is power over their own people?
I think that for the first time this plan addressed that, right? So war is a contest of will, and you're right. These are irreconcilable individuals. And that's why the number one point in President Trump's plan is that the Gaza Strip must be de-radicalized and demilitarized. And you're right. It's going to be to say that these people would just give that up, but they've been offered exile. I think the difference here, in a way it is reasonable to think that it is possible, is because unlike any other plan, you had all of these Arab and Muslim majority countries sign up and saying, absolutely, that must happen for there to be peace. You know, even this technocratic thing that the Hamas put into this yes that it did, that they're willing to give up power of governance, but they want the basically they want the Hezbollah model where they maintain an army and weapons and everything. It isn't peace, and that's not what the agreement says. It's not what the Qataris, Egyptians, UAE, Turkey agreed to.
Well, because we saw what happened with Hezbollah. And, you know, by the way, they're supposed to be disarming also. And we know that that process is not going the way it was anticipated. We just don't talk about it because we can't focus on two things at once, even in one country on two different borders that's the size of New Jersey. Moshe, here's the hard question for you. And I will respect this criticism that I keep hearing, is that as a citizen, I'm asking you about this. There is no chance that Israel will not continue to go after the people that they believe were responsible for the planning and execution of October 7th, even if there is a peace deal. It will not end for them. They have to get as many as they can. The people will demand it, no matter what is signed. Do you believe that?
I want to say that as a student of history and war studies and political science in the past, I recognize that war is inevitable, and this is not going to conclude the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. This is merely one phase within a larger conflict that will take decades, if not centuries more, to be resolved. We saw how many centuries it took Europe to become a relatively stable place, only in the later stages of the 20th century. So we will continue to engage against our enemies. We have no other choice. And I served for 6 years, and I understand that we have no other choice. At the same time, compromises have to be made at times in the short term to achieve those small victories. One of that victory include the Israeli society cohesion. It's currently suffering from a lack of trust between the public and the government as a result of the October 7th atrocity. And a lack of trust because we did not prioritize at times the hostages over other objectives. I understand how complex it is for Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government to maneuver all the international pressure, to maneuver the other war goals. But we have to take advantage of the fact there is an opening now, guarantees from President Trump, his amazing administration, and the international coalition he built. And those guarantees will allow us to continue prepare for the threats ahead and bring home all the hostages, including Omri. This is not the end of the conflict, but hopefully we can lay foundations for a better future for both Israelis and Palestinians.
Hey, John, you should get this guy to come speak at the college. That was one of the most eloquent explanations of the tenuous nature of this dynamic that I've heard since we took this latest step. Thank you for that context, Moshe. I hope that your family gets something good out of this. Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but I hope for that. John, thank you for the perspective as always. Have a good weekend, brother. Now, we got 4 minutes and 35 seconds. 50 months. That's what Diddy got. Is 50 months real? He was sentenced, you know that, right? He was found guilty, 2 counts, federal crimes. Is this a win? Is this a loss? Is the number real? One of Combs' former lawyers joins me and says, Diddy is the one who should be pissed. Sean Diddy Combs, 50 months. Prosecution wanted him to serve 11 years and 3 months. Defense argued he should receive no more than 14 months with credit for time served, right? So meaning he would almost get out right away, and then there's a fine of $500,000. Doesn't matter to him. NewsNation's Laura Ingle was at the courthouse, joins us now. Laura.
Hey, Chris. Well, it was certainly not the outcome, right, that the defense and Sean Combs himself had been hoping for. Really going for that time served, the 14-month request didn't happen. It was a very long hearing. It was nearly 6 hours long, emotional, tearful at times. We heard from Sean Combs' adult children, during the sentencing hearing where they really pleaded with the judge for mercy and leniency, saying that they needed their father home and they wanted him to really understand that he was a changed man. They wanted the judge to see that and to hear that from them. We also heard from all of the defense attorneys who got up and said basically the same thing, that he has been working on his rehabilitation, helping prisoners behind the doors of the MDC. And then there was this 11-minute produced video that was played for the court, for the judge, to show Sean Combs in a different light than everything that we heard during the trial, and to show him as a loving father, a philanthropist, an entrepreneur. Here's some of that video.
Thank you.
When my baby cries.
You gotta give her a bottle then.
Know that you mean something to people. Know that you mean something to people. Like you live somewhere in people's heart.
My nose fell off. My lip fell off.
I'm happy to say this is our third school we have opened. This official. When we come together as a people, nothing can stop us.
Today, God is the greatest. He blessed me and my girlfriend Kim in the world with 2 beautiful baby girls. I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. Love you so much.
Hi, Daddy.
Did it help or not? Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll get different perspectives on it. Laura Ingle, thank you very much. Very well covered, as always, and appreciated. So, prosecutors are like, I can't believe you didn't get more time. Hey, they're no more surprised than Diddy's side. One of his former attorneys and close friends is Mark Geragos, and I wanted to bring counsel in to explain their disappointment. Thank you for being with me, big brother. What did you think was going to happen, and what bothers you about this?
You know, I've got a lot to say, and I'm going to try and walk a very fine line. I thought 50 months, frankly, was way more than he should have gotten. I do not think this is one of the better days for the defense, both in the performance and what was presented. I have a lot of issues with the whole thing. I think as you just stated, by the way, I don't think the government is disappointed for a second. I think as soon as they asked for 11 years, what that telegraphed to me is they were worried the judge was going to go too low. So, you know, in negotiation, and it works outside the courtroom, it works inside the courtroom, the mind goes to the middle point. And they figured by going to 11 years, if the judge was thinking time served, he would cut the baby in half. That's exactly or almost exactly where he landed, somewhere between 10 and 1. He landed at 50 months. This is not a 50-month case. I suppose, to quote the judge, if he wanted to send a message of deterrence. You know, my father used to say, my dear departed father and partner, if you want to send a message, use Western Union. That dates him and it dates me. But I just think and you know, my daughter's on the defense and she didn't do much today, but I don't think this was a really well thought out presentation.
So what do you make of the speculation that, yeah, but with time served, and, you know, that this is just his first act, he could get this down, and he may serve as little as 1 more year?
There's a possibility of that. I mean, if he makes smart moves, and if he does and gets... The big issue right now is where is he going to get designated? And what that means is the BOP, Bureau of Prisons, is going to do an analysis. They're going to take the PSR, which is the pre-sentence report. They're going to take the minute order and the sentencing sheet. They're going to crunch those things. They're going to then decide where are we going to put them. They will take into account, and one of the reasons I think that Tenney asked that they hold that until Monday, they take into account where the judge recommends. Yeah, Tenny is my daughter, exactly. And they take into account where he recommends. That does not bind them. But where he goes depends on a lot of factors and what programs are available. You can cut off a lot of time depending on the programs you're going to do.
So this isn't over yet, but I get
It's
your
not
take
over.
on this.
It's not over. But let me give
Right,
you.
you've been saying this for a
Let me give
while.
you two
Go
other
ahead.
thoughts. Yeah,
Please.
Let me give you two thoughts. Number one, I think, and as soon as he said today, the sentencing guidelines were 70 to 87, I said, well, that's not good news. I said he's going to go lower now. And the reason I knew he would go lower is those sentencing guideline calculations are fraught with constitutional danger. So by going lower, substantially lower than the low end of 70 months, going 20 months lower, he insulates himself from an appeal on that. But he still has the appeal on the Mann Act application. So this was intellectually diabolical by the judge.
Anything else we need to know, or are we good?
We're good. I wish the best for Sean. I hope he learns a lesson from this. I really do.
Well, I mean, he's already been in there a long time, and the whole world got to see a really interesting process of what this case began as and what it wound up as. Mark, thank you very much for guiding us through it, and we'll need you the rest of the way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Good to see you. Have a great weekend.
All right, brother, be well. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So the Senate, they failed, okay? Why? Because the problem works better. That's the truth, okay? Now, let's talk about why this works for Democrats and why it doesn't. With part of the future of the party. Brian Tyler Cohen has millions of people following him on social media. He is a true progressive. What does he see in this that he likes? Why would the shutdown end when both sides seem to be making money, if not momentum, off of it? Do the Democrats look like they are fighting the good fight? That's what they want out of this. Trying to not have millions suffer paying for tax cuts that did not serve them best. That is the good fight. Or is MAGA winning and saying, here's even more proof that these people don't get it when it comes to immigration, and they want to do more for illegals than they want to do for you. We heard from the right about this all week. I've been waiting to get a better feel for the left. It's tough to get people tonight, but not one of their best. Progressive podcaster Brian Tyler Cohen. BTC, good to see you, my man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Give it to me. What is working for you in this right now strategically?
Well, it's a very simple concept to understand, I think, first and foremost, which is often the Democrats' problem. But what this is Democrats using what little leverage we have, because they need 7 Democratic votes in the Senate, to basically say, hey, if you want our votes, then you gotta allow us to extend these ACA subsidies. And we're not asking for anything new. We're not asking for millions more than we had before. This is to keep in place existing subsidies so that 24 million Americans don't pay as much as 3 times higher for health insurance next year in 2026. It's a very simple concept to understand. And by the way, this is helping not just Americans who live in blue states, but Americans who live in red states too. And in fact, the 5 states that have adopted ACA enrollment in the last 5 years skew overwhelmingly Republican. We're talking West Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, as opposed to the blue states who've largely seen smaller adoption of ACA enrollments in the last few years.
I think I'm not pushing back on any of that because I'm using a lot of the same numbers. The question is that tactically, should the Democrats give completely on any funding that is used or misused to finance health services for people who are here illegally and take that issue off the table? Give it to the Republicans and say, what do you want? You voted for the reimbursements for these services at the state level also. What do you want to do with people who aren't here legally? Go ahead and tell us. Why don't you just give it to them and focus on the other part?
because it doesn't, well, first of all, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at the federal level, and these are federal legislators, and so it's up to them to dictate what happens with regard to federal policy, but not a dime of federal funding goes to ACA subsidies. And I know that these Republicans are trying their level best to try and convince people that that's the truth, but it doesn't happen. As far as the states are concerned, we have Republicans now trying to dictate what happens at the state level from Washington, D.C. These are these states' rights Republicans. I mean, you don't get to dictate from Washington, D.C. what happens in the states. And for me on the left to be telling these states' rights crusaders that that's how it's got to be, it just seems so backwards. I mean, the reality is what New York wants to do with state level funding is up to New York. And by the way, it's so bizarre for these Republicans to be dictating what New York can do when you have these blue states like New York, like New Jersey, like California, that are donor states that make sure that all of the other states have funding for their own budgets, plenty of which stuff they don't agree with, as far as their agenda is concerned, but they're still donor states. They still make sure to fund red states' governments. And now these Republicans in Washington, D.C. want to be able to dictate what those blue states can do with their state level funding. I mean, where does it end?
I think it's a good argument. I think it is clever, but not complete, because you are right. No direct funding under federal law can go to people who are not legally here for these types of services. You can argue if that's good or bad, but that's the law. I'm talking about the reimbursements. And like California has called out for this, and with good reason. It is a funny money game that they do a couple of different ways, and other states do it too, just not as egregiously. The reimbursements wind up being the functional effect of getting federal money because they get paid back by the federal government for monies that they spend on the state level for taking care of people who aren't here legally and who they say, oh no, it's just people who are here lawfully, but not just citizens. That's kind of a game, though, right? This is why I say it's not complete. They get the reimbursements, that's federal money. And asylees, 90% of them are not going to have their cases approved. So, yeah, they're lawful, assuming they show up for their hearings and then lose their case, and now they're not lawful. Why not give on that?
Well, look, the goalpost can always move as far as these Republicans are concerned. At first, they were saying that no federal funding for undocumented immigrants. Okay, there is no funding for undocumented
Brian,
immigrants.
Say yes. Say yes. And say I give on that.
Well, I mean, but it's not up to the federal government to dictate what states can do at the state level. That's how it works in this country. We have a 10th Amendment to the Constitution.
Reimbursement rates are the federal level. What is lawful and not lawful, including asylees in that, is federal. Why don't you give on those two?
It's up to the states to be able to dictate what they want to do at the state level. If Republicans want to implement policy at the state level, they should run and win at the state level. If Republicans want to take over California, then they should do that.
No, they shouldn't do that, first of all. What are you, nuts? We don't want any more incursion of federal on state than we already have. Thank you very little. What I'm saying is the reimbursement rates are federal. So when the state comes and says, California, which should always stay California and not part of anything else, hey, I spent $10 on these people. You're supposed to give me back $9. It used to be $6. Now it's $9. I want $9 back. That's now federal money coming that way. Why don't the Democrats give on that and say, no, you pay what you want to pay for people who are illegally in your state, but it's on you. I'm not reimbursing you.
Look, I think that really this is a very simple argument for the Democrats to be able to make. And this is, do we want to have this ACA funding that was in place last year, that was in place the year before that? And it's as simple as that. Republicans are not looking to negotiate. They're not looking to negotiate in good faith. Democrats are. Democrats have brought this very simple issue: extend the existing ACA subsidies, and that's it. And you have Republicans who won't even meet on that. So if they're gonna move the goalposts every single time, then you are not dealing with good faith negotiators. You've got Trump himself who's claiming—
You are hearing, though, Brian, you are hearing Republicans say, we'll talk to you about this, but could it also be a little of this is Democrats muscling up and saying, no, we're going to play the defiance game and we're not going to negotiate with you either, but we'll just put it on you?
Frankly, they should. Frankly, Democrats do, and I say this as a Democrat, Democrats do need to show some fight here. Democrats do need to show some spine here, especially after what we saw in the first shutdown, where it very much looked like the Democratic leadership just capitulated to the Republican Party. So it's incumbent on Democrats not
I get
just
how you guys feel.
not just from a moral perspective, but also because this is the right thing to do. This is the right fight to have, and the vast majority of Americans are on the Democrats' side on this. Kaiser Family Foundation found that 78% of Americans agree with the Democrat position.
Yeah, no,
here,
I see the
that
number
we should
all the
extend
time.
these
I never see lower than 65%. I've been saying it from the beginning. This is the right fight. Again, just strategically, I see it. Tactically, I feel that the reimbursement rates are a way for you to show that you're not about funding illegals. I hate the word. I hate even the idea, to be honest. But I just think tactically that's a play here. But we'll see what happens. Brian Tyler Cohen, I love having you on the show. Thank you for making the case. And I appreciate the way you make it as well. You're always welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're going to be around a long time. Take care, you handsome young man. All right, today is the 3rd anniversary of the show. And I am very happy that you get the flavor of what it is. Now, I am old school. I don't believe in what is being done on digital media today, what is successful. My model is something else, and I want you to meet somebody who is a main part of my model, okay? You know him, Sam Donaldson, okay? He shaped what I do, how I do, as much as anyone who's not named Mario. So I want to know what he thinks it takes today to make it in the media. My man, my mentor, Handsome Sam, next. Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo. Thank you for joining me on the first night of a new mission. So, are you ready to change the game? Good. Let's get after it. Handsome. That was 3 years ago today. And I want to bring in Sam Donaldson right now, legend from ABC News, and a friend and mentor to me. It's good to see you, Handsome. Would you want to do the job today?
I want to do the job today if I could do it in the same way I tried to do it way back then. But that's really impossible for these great reporters that I watch from Washington and elsewhere trying to do that job, but it's just impossible. You said it at the beginning of your program tonight. Here comes cable, here comes the internet, here comes everybody being a reporter without any knowledge of what the facts are. And how can you actually say, this is what I discovered, I looked it out, I've checked it out, I think it's accurate, now you do with it what you think is best. Those days are gone.
What do you make of the return criticism? No, it's better than ever, the democratization of media, instead of you, legacy media guys who told us all what to think and you lied all the time. You were the worst. They're better today. Do you accept that?
No, we didn't lie. I'm sorry. We made mistakes. I certainly made a mistake from now and then. Tried to correct it later. Correction never catches up with that. But we tried to get it right. Now, today, I see a lot of people, and don't watch them much except to check in on the media, who don't care about facts. They knowledgeably promote non-facts. And they do it for money, as you pointed out earlier in something else. I wanted a salary, but I had to do it in a way that people would respond to and say, yeah, keep him on. We'd like to see him. Rather than, here's a bunch of stuff. The earth is actually flat. I have people who can prove it's flat. Oh, it's flat. Fine. No, it's not. And I shouldn't be saying that. But who are up there who say it, make a lot of money on it, and people watch them. And I can't blame the audience. I mean, like blaming the victim. But I must tell you, if you had something you could say to me, what would you have people do that you watch? Well, basically you. Yeah, I like you. We're friends. We work together at ABC News. But I didn't make you have the #1 program on CNN when you were there. And then you came to NewsNation. You have the #1 program on NewsNation. NewsNation is catching up. It's behind CNN and the others, but it's the fastest growing new network out there. And it's look at who's watching young people more than they are watching others. It's got a real future. But I think I would like to say that ABC News, our mutual employer, would love to have you back doing it your way, which is, to me, the basically old way.
Well, Sam, you've always been very generous to me, and I appreciate you very much. But I'll tell you, these are very they're very tricky times. And I remember, you won't remember, but I remember you telling me a long time ago the line about how your job is not to say, he says it's hot, she says it's cold. Go stick your head out the window and see what it feels like. I remember you saying that to me. It was such a beautiful encapsulation of the basic job of reporting.
That's a problem today. Here's the facts that we've uncovered them and think they're accurate. Do with them what you will. Today, we are so divided as a country, and so divided in ways that are not just, I disagree with you, and I disagree with you. No, I hate you. I hate you. You're not a real American. You're the enemy of the people. Those phrases are used. And so it's very difficult today to say, okay, Chris, play it right down the middle. The middle, unfortunately, no longer exists. It's one way or the other. And as a reporter, you can try to play it down the middle, and I think you do from the standpoint of letting legitimate views, meaning they have a number of people who agree with them, and as you did in the last segment before this one, and I watched that business about the Middle East. I mean, some people believe, including the president, that he's scored a victory already. You said you should be cautious because Hamas says it will release the hostages. But what's the catch? But the plan also clearly, without saying two states, points it toward a Palestinian entity or state. And Bibi Netanyahu said, never. So you think it's going someplace? Not as long as Bibi says that. Okay.
Yeah. We'll
get me
we'll
going.
live it together.
It's hard to stop me. Just cut me off.
Sam, I would never cut you off. I learned my lesson long ago. I'm very, very glad to have you in my life, and thank you for your perspective. Have a great weekend, big brother.
You're a great son.
Take care. We'll be right back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay?
You know,
I just want to say
Chris is apologizing because he's coming to me 20 seconds late. And I got to tell you, having to try to cut off Sam Donaldson, that is a feat.
I remember when I first started working with Sam, I won't take too much time, I promise. So we were on ABC News Now, which was like the precursor of like cable and digital, right? We did a show called Stump Sam. It was me and Sam together. And he wanted no part of me on that show. And whenever I would try to go to break, he would say, "Excuse me, young man, do you believe that there's anything coming out of your face worth listening to? Because you are mistaken."
I was going to say, and somehow on the digital show, he managed to go over time, which is impossible in television news. Have a great weekend. Congrats on 3 years. It's been fun, my friend.
Thank you for being with me, brother. Be well.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.